Hello everybody, it is Carol, oh let me get my light out of the way there. Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. It is Monday, January 30th and time for another Make It Monday. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Been with Stampin' Up! About 10 years, actually just over 10 years now. And my greatest joy is just spreading joy, basically one card at a time. I love to show people how to make cards. Give them tools that they need to make those cards and help them find that creativity inside of them that sometimes gets buried pretty deep. So hope everybody had a really good week here in Minnesota. We are in one of our January cold days. Not uncommon for this time of year, and actually we've gotten by pretty easily with where our weather is at. Hi Paula, thanks for joining in. But tomorrow we're supposed to be 25 degrees below zero. And then by the end of the week, we're going to start warming up again into the teens above zero. So that's not so bad. Had to bring my mom and her cat to the vet today, so I was a little worried about having Smudge out in the cold weather, but we managed to park close so we could just run right into the vet with Smudge in her carrier and get to run her one other errand tomorrow that we need to go to regardless of the temps. So shouldn't be too bad. Other than that, over the weekend, we finally got to do our family Christmas for my side of the family. Plans got changed pretty quickly over Christmas when my mom came down with COVID. So we had an all-day celebration that covered a little bit of Thanksgiving, some Christmas, a couple birthdays, and a couple of college graduation changes. So just a good day with family. Sunday we recovered, and I think we had 20 people and 4 dogs in the house, so it got a little crazy, but it was good. I'm glad that we were finally able to do that, and it looks like we're going to be doing Christmas with my husband's family in February, because that also got delayed just a little bit due to some health issues as well. So anyhow, enough about me. Let's go ahead and jump right into doing this card. I am going to flip my camera over, so just be patient with me for a minute here, just a second. Hi, April. Thanks for joining us. All right. Let me pop that in, and hopefully I'm fairly... Ooh, looks like I'm pretty good on the centering of stuff. Let me plug my cord in and then get rid of the pieces. One of the other things that I did last week, and I think on Sunday I did some more. No, it was on Friday, I guess. I spent time doing a really deep clean of my craft area and was able to get rid of some clutter, and it's made it very nice to be down working in my space again. I got a bad glare coming from one of my overhead lights here. Oh well, we're just gonna make it work here. So anyhow, one thing I wanted to show you, last week in my video I showed you how to create your own cardstock or designer series paper and get 4 pieces out of an 8.5 by 11, and I played a little bit more. There's a new stamp set called Sea Turtle that is in the January to April mini catalog, and I just want to show you real quick. I will post pictures of these, but I really like how these turned out. I just kind of sat and played a little bit with the sea turtles and starfish and some sand dollars, and I came up with what I think are some pretty cool cards. So don't limit yourself to flowers on that technique. But that's not why we're here tonight. Tonight, the cards that we're going to work with are going to focus on 2 papers, both of which you can receive for free if you place a $50 order, either with me or with your demonstrator. $50 before shipping and taxes. And out of the Sale-A-Bration catalog, one of the packs of paper that you can get is this Dainty Flowers. This actually does coordinate with the Dainty Delight bundle that is in the mini catalog as well. I just have the designer series paper right now, and again it's called Dainty Flowers, and the colors in this one are Blushing Bride, Crushed Curry, Fresh Freesia, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Rich Razzleberry, and Starry Sky. And Here's a piece that features the rich raspberry and primarily mossy meadow, I believe. And then this piece is kind of an all-over floral design that captures all of the colors. And then this set also includes the piece that you can cut in half and get 4 card fronts out of if you choose to do it that way, or this is great for making those panel cards as well. And then it also includes this fun piece of paper where you can cut these out and then also have these 2 pieces in the center strip. Now I will tell you that I cut mine and I thought I had my measurement right for cutting it, and I did not. So if you want to get these pieces cut out as a semicircle so you can use that as part of your card design, don't cut like I cut. I'm trying to find my ruler. There it is on the floor. But instead you will want to cut at about 4 7/8 of an inch from the bottom to here, and that gives you the pretty even border. I'm guessing 4 by 5 will work. Let's see, 5. Nope, go 4 7/8 of an inch, and that way you'll have an even border top to bottom on that oval or side to side, and not have to cut them down a little bit further like I had to do with my first cut on that. And then these strips you just cut right in half. Works really well. And then we've got this piece, which is basically mossy meadow, and you know, it almost looks like you could use seafoam behind that and I think have a pretty cool card. Soft seafoam. Sometimes when I'm talking, these thoughts just pop into my head. And I think this card, this paper would look cool with that Fern 3D embossing folder that we have as well. So keep that in mind. And then we've got this all over, but smaller. We kind of have 2 that are all over prints, but it's a smaller pattern on this one. Slightly different pattern too, but a smaller grouping of those flowers. And then of course, if you flip it over, you've got these marvelous backgrounds. Then this one kind of fun. Kind of that all over alcohol sort of look with the alcohol technique. And then you've got this green, which is more the old olive with a little bit of the mossy meadow in there. And then here's another piece, a little bit different than that first piece. I think there's more of the blue tones and less of the pink. And then you've got this in the fresh freesia. It's just kind of it's not polka dots, but it's kind of dots. And then this is just like that old olive toned one, but in Blushing Bride. And that would cover that. So this is paper you could choose to order for free from the Sale-A-Bration catalog if you place a $50 order before shipping and handling. Now, the Sale-A-Bration only goes through the end of February, and so if there are things that you want in that Sale-A-Bration catalog, make sure you order them because these items are available as supplies last, so just be aware of that. The second paper that I'm going to be featuring is the Favored Flowers Designer Series paper, and believe it or not, I've actually made a masculine birthday card using paper called Favored Flowers. And the colors in this one are Basic Black, Blackberry Bliss, Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, and Petal Pink. And this set also coordinates with the Fragrant Flowers bundle that's in the annual catalog. So you've got this piece, and again the Blackberry Bliss and Fresh Freesia. I think those colors are so pretty, and they're set out with that black background. And then here's kind of all of those colors together, again with a black background, but there's very little of that background that even shows through. And then here's a bigger floral image. And then we've got this all over image. These are kind of like marigolds or chrysanthemums, sort of a flower. And then the back side is where I was able to make my masculine card. There's some great patterns. If you don't like the florals, but you want some good patterns, this is a great pack to get. Again, free with a $50 order if you choose to do so. So Calypso Coral with kind of a hexagon design. Fresh Freesia. Petal Pink. This is actually the Mossy Meadow and Basic Black, but I'm actually pairing this up with Navy, Night of Navy to make our card, or one of my sample cards. Blackberry Bliss. It's kind of an all-over pattern with that. And then Mossy Meadow. Okay, so just I'm sharing it with you because the Sale-A-Bration cycle is shorter than it has been in the past. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that, and if there are things you want, be sure to place your order. All right, so the card that I'm making tonight, it's really another all-occasion card, but it can become anything that you want it to be as you're working on designs. And so I've got one here that's using the Mossy Meadow and Petal Pink colors, and I've used the Just a Note stamp that comes out of the Go-To Greetings. It's a very simple layered card. I've put this square piece up on dimensionals just to pop it up a little bit, and I've run each of my background pieces through an embossing folder of some type just to add a little texture. And then on the inside, I've actually used this same color instead of Basic White or Very Vanilla for the inside of my card. You can still see what's written on there, so keep that in mind as you're working on it. Here is a masculine version of that card, and this is the one that's using that Favored Flowers and the back piece. And I ran this through the wood textured embossing folder, and I've used Very Vanilla. And again, I used a Happy Birthday greeting from the Go-To Greetings set. And on the inside, I decided to be brave, and I used Mossy Meadow on the inside of my card too. I thought if you wrote in black, you're going to be able to see on that too. So just some simple layers. And then I'm getting into the Dainty, now I forget what it's called, the Dainty Flowers Designer Series paper. And here I've used Starry Sky and the Orchid Oasis in color papers because it kind of picked up that lighter color. And I've used the Cane Weave embossing folder. And again, the Go-To Greeting for the Just a Note stamp. And on the inside, I've kept that Orchid Oasis as well. Sometimes it's nice not to have colors in there. So the card that I'm going to use tonight to demonstrate how to make it is using the, oh, I folded that. That's all right. We'll take care of that. Rich Razzleberry, and I'm using the Dainty Flowers Designer Series paper, which really brings together the Rich Razzleberry and the Fresh Freesia. So let's go ahead and get started. I will give you measurements here. This layout was inspired by Peggy Merwin, and I've just changed it up using my own paper and colors. So I've got a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of Rich Razzleberry scored at 4 1/4. I have 2 pieces of Fresh Freesia, both which measure 4 by 5 1/4. These could also be Basic White or Very Vanilla, or even for the inside piece, you could do Basic White, Very Vanilla. I just liked the color instead of Basic White. That's my preference. And then this piece of Rich Razzleberry measures 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and this piece of Designer Series paper is 3 by 3. And then I have another strip of Rich Razzleberry that measures 1 inch by 5 1/4 inches, and a piece of Basic White that measures 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/4 inch. So real quick repeat measurements in case you missed them. 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. 2 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4, and these are going to cover the inside piece and this layer. Use whatever colors you want. Rich Razzleberry 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. 3x3 on the designer series paper, 1 by 5 1/4 rich razzleberry, and 3/4 by 5 1/4 of basic white. And then again, I'm going to use the Just a Note sentiment to create this card. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do actually is stamp my sentiment just so that I'm sure the ink is dry. So I've got my rich razzleberry ink pad and my Just a Note stamp and gentle taps, and then I'm lining this up right kind of on the edge, and hopefully I have it straight. If not, I can flip her over. Ooh, that's going downhill more than I can handle. All right, let's flip it over and see if I can get that better. Oh, Carol. All right, not a big deal. I have a whole bin full of basic white cardstock. Scraps. I just throw all my scraps into a shoebox bin, and then I can pull out whatever size strip I need. I just need to make sure it's long enough. All right, I got one that's long enough. I just need to trim her down a little bit. Always a risk of trying to stamp sentiments live. And when you're kind of looking down through the camera and stuff, or working around the camera, sometimes it's hard to tell where you're at. At least that's the excuse I'm going to work with tonight. Anybody else have issues stamping straight? I'm going to also just wipe this off because I caught an edge. All right. Let me try this again. Not quite perfect yet. I'm gonna there we go. I thought I just wiped my hand over that too. And that is all the stamping that I need to do on this particular card. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean that stamp off so I don't set my card on it. Put my greeting away. All right, that's it for stamping. So let's go ahead and we'll start to assemble. I'm going to let that dry, so we'll do those two pieces last. I've got a little bit of a fold in my cardstock here, which is not the end of the world. I'm just going to make that the back side of my card, and most of that is going to get covered up with this piece of cardstock. So I'll use my seal. Again, remember, light pressure, check mark, and for the most part, you're not going to have issues with this getting gummy on you. Okay, and then on the front side, I'm going to hold off putting that on until I assemble that other piece. So I'm just going to put adhesive on my designer series paper here. And initially, the only limitation, as I'm showing you this layout, is really the size length of your sentiment. Sorry, I didn't have this on straight. So if you wanted to use a bigger sentiment, you could change where you place this piece on the front of the card, and then maybe put your sentiment going across here partway or something too, just to accommodate a larger sentiment. It's not the limit that this is the only size you can use. You just need to adjust your layout a little bit. And then this is going to be flush end to end. So line up that end. and make sure you've got it centered going up and down. And it looks like my piece was actually a wee bit longer. No problem. I've got my paper snips, and I could even find them right away. Only that ruler so far has been a problem. And just cut that off so it's even. Still think it's just a titch longer than I want it to be. Okay, there we go. And then this piece, I'm just going to put adhesive on. And it is going to get centered, or not centered, but lined up flush to the edges of this base piece. And this one I've embossed I use this one all the time, and I don't remember what it's called. It is the, you know, that one, the painted texture 3D embossing folder. And I thought it just added a little pop to the card without taking away from the designer series paper. If you look closely at the background, the designer series paper is kind of like rough painted wall surface too. It doesn't show up very much, but it's kind of like that. And then I need to take this piece, and I'm just going to run adhesive on the back of this. Whoops. And that will get centered. You could even, I mean, this makes a pretty basic card this way too, just leaving it like this, but you know, I always have to have a little designer paper on mine. And I am putting 5 dimensionals on here, 1 in each corner plus 1 in the center, just to keep it popped up. I know others may put more, some may put only 4 on there. Do what makes your heart happy. And then this piece, I'm kind of centering from top to bottom, and then kind of sort of having the same amount of white space from here to here, you know, this showing and that showing. There's no magic to that. And then I'm going to take a few of the pearl embellishments and pick them up with my take your pick tool. And just kind of scatter them on there. And of course, I'm not sure that that fully does what I want it to do. So I'm going to grab my Wink of Stella here and add just some sparkle to the flowers. That's why I like Wink of Stella, because it's easy to do. It dries quick. And with this one, I can literally kind of just go like a paintbrush and not fill in, but get just a little bit of the sparkle on each of the floral parts. I can't remember if I did, I don't think I did these yet. And there you go. Wink of Stella. She can save you every time. So Rich Razzleberry, another color I haven't used very often, but creates a very pretty card. And it looks real nice combined with the Fresh Freesia in color. So here are 2 cards that are featuring the Dainty floral design, Dainty Flowers. Make sure I'm giving you the right name. Dainty Flowers which is item 160834 in the Sale-A-Bration catalog. And then here are 2 cards that feature the favored flowers. One more masculine, one more feminine, but again, great use of this layout, and you can see that it's pretty versatile. I think you could even make this a thinking of you card, depending on the designer series paper. If you had a bigger sentiment, another option would be to make this square, these 2 square layers, a little bit smaller. That would work quite well as an option too. So, hope you give yourself a chance to make this card. Love to see it. If you do, please post it down below. And otherwise, we will see you next week. Stay warm, have a great week, and take time to make your cards. Thanks, Julie. I appreciate hearing that. Easy layout, easy to duplicate, and you can kind of let the designer paper and your embossing folders really make this card stand out without putting a lot of work into it. So take care, everybody. Have a great week. Stay warm. Bye-bye.